This is my absolute favorite section of the prophet, the passage on giving. Then said a rich man, "Speak to us of giving." And he answered, "You give little when you give of your possessions. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give. For what are your possessions but things that you keep and guard for fear that you may need them tomorrow? And tomorrow, what shall tomorrow bring to overprudent dog burying bones in the trackless sand as he follows the pilgrims to the holy city? And what is fear of need but need itself? Is not dread of thirst, when your well is full, the thirst that is unquenchable? There are those who give little of the much which they have, and they give it for recognition, and their hidden desire makes their gifts unwholesome. And there are those who have little to give at all. These are the believers in life, and the bounty of life, and their coffer is never empty. There are those who give with joy, and that joy is their reward. And there are those who give with pain, and that pain is their baptism. And then there are those who give and know not pain in giving, nor do they seek joy, nor give with mindfulness of virtue. They give as in yonder valley the myrtle breathes its fragrance into space. Though the hands of such as these God speaks, and from behind their eyes he smiles upon the earth. It is well to give when asked, but it is better to give unasked through understanding. And to the open-handed, the search for one who shall receive is the joy greater than giving. And is there aught that you would withhold? And you have shall someday be given. Therefore give now, that the season of giving may be yours, and not in your inheritors. You often say, "I would give, but only to the deserving." The trees in your orchard say not so, nor the flocks in your pasture. They give all that they may live. To withhold is to perish. Surely he who is worthy to receive his days and his nights is worthy of all else from you. And he who has deserved to drink from the ocean of life deserves to fill his cup from your little stream. And what desert greater shall there be than that which lies in the courage and the confidence, nay, the charity of receiving? And who are you that men should rend their bosom and unveil their pride, that you may seek their worth naked and their pride unabashed? See first that you yourself deserve to be a giver, and an instrument of giving. For in truth it is that life that gives unto life, while you, who deem yourself a giver, are but of witness. And you receivers, all of you are receivers, assume no weight of gratitude, lest you lay a yoke upon yourself and upon him who gives. Rather, rise together, and with the giver of his gifts, as on wings. For to be over-mindful of your debt is to doubt his generosity, who then has the free-hearted earth for mother, and God for father. Like I said, this is one of my favorites. The passage that I want you to really think about here is, you give but little when you give of your possessions. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give. That's my favorite line, or my favorite passage in this entire book. And as I've mentioned, this book is like a favorite of mine and a favorite of my grandma's. So if you take nothing else from this stream, take that part. You give but little when you give of your possessions. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give. And then the reason for that, as he mentioned, is because these things that we have, they're temporal, they're temporary. You don't get to take them with you when you go. But your acts of service, the things that you do for others, those are the things that will precede you, that will write your legacy, that will make people remember you. People may think it's like, oh, he had a cool car, he had a cool house or something like that, but eventually the image of that starts to fade after a while. It's like, oh, what kind of car did Andrew drive? I know he had a nice car, but I can't remember which one. And he also had this really nice house, but I don't remember exactly where it was or what it looked like. But people will never forget the good things that you do for them. People will never forget when you buy them dinner when they're hungry, or when you give them some of your water when they're thirsty. And it's interesting that Gibran actually uses the analogy of drinking. Where is it? But it's better to give and to open hand search for one shall receive, and there. You would often say, I would give, but only to the deserving. The trees in your orchard say not so, nor the flocks in your pasture. The orchid, so the section of trees, and the pasture, these are two very natural things. They are unabated by thought and by reason and stuff like that. It's just a bunch of chickens running around and a bunch of trees that are growing. But yet they give of themselves wholeheartedly. An orchard always bears fruit. or gives fruit undiscriminately. Like a fruit isn't going to look at you and be like, hey, I don't like your hair. I don't think you really need this fruit enough. It's just going to drop its fruit, and you're going to be able to pick that fruit up and eat it if you want. Same thing with a flock. A flock kind of doesn't think like, oh, you don't look so hungry, I'm not going to give myself up to slaughter. You take that chicken or you take whatever animal and then you render it and you eat it, and you do so indiscriminately. Like the natural thing is that you don't really have a say in how giving happens. And Gibran reinforces that when he says, for in truth it is life that gives unto life, while you who deem yourself a giver are but a witness. So life and the natural order of things and God are always going to give. That's the natural order of things. Life gives unto life. We're just kind of here to be the vehicle or to be the witness to that giving. So that's a big takeaway in this sort of thing. So if nothing else, to make a synopsis, give of yourself, give your time, give your skills, give your expertise, give wholeheartedly and without discrimination. There's no such thing as need. Well, there is such a thing as need, but there's more need and less need, but it's really not for you to say who needs your help and who does. Well, in a way it is, but basically be generous. Don't let the superfluous things hang you up. Just give kind of indiscriminately if you can. And remember that giving and giving of yourself is part of the natural order of things. To give of yourself is to truly give, and life gives unto life. So when you give upon yourself, you bear witness to the natural and beautiful process that is life giving unto itself, of happiness being given unto happiness, of glory being given unto glory, of charity being given unto charity. So groundbreaking stuff. I love this passage, like I said. It's my favorite poem in this entire book.